am an American. I come from Fairview, Montana.
I am a Frenchman, and I come from Paris.
I'm an Englishman, and I come from London.
I am a Dogra. I come from the Himalayas, India.
I am an American. I come from Gladewater, Texas.
I am a Pole. I come from Silesia.
I'm a Welshman, and I come from Glamorgan, South Wales.
I am a New Zealander. I come from Wyndham, South Ireland. I am a Canadian, and I come from Montreal.
I am an Italian. I come from Parma.
I'm a South African. I come from Johannesburg.
I am American. I come from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
I'm an Irishman, and I come from Cork. I am a Frenchman, and come from Alsace.
I am an American. I come from Boston, Massachusetts.
I'm a Brazilian. I come from Pernambuco.
I am an American. I come from Rome, Georgia.
I am a Sikh. I come from Amritsar, Punjab, in India.
I am a Scot. I come from Greenock.
I am an American. I come from Brooklyn, New York.
These are the men of the Allied armies, the men who fought and won the Battle of Italy. They came from every corner of the earth, soldiers from 27 nations fighting side by side on the Italian front. On June 19, 1944, the Allied armies of Italy took Elba, and with it the palace of Napoleon. Napoleon would have been surprised. He didn't think very much of Allied armies.
There is no army easier to conquer than a combination of allies.
Yet 130 years later, a combination of Allied armies was again in the field. A combination so varied that road signs had to be painted in a dozen different languages. And there were so many insignia that not even the generals knew them all. MPs would answer in every tongue from Polish to Hindustani.
2 मिनट के करीब सीधे जाओ, फिर बाएं घूमो, 2 किलोमीटर के बाद आपका मंजिल.
And 3 different MPs might work on the same crossroads. Vehicles were dedicated to girls of 5 continents. Only the Jeep was universal. Ration trucks had to bring wine for the French, tea for the British, spaghetti for the Italians, and corned beef hash for the Yanks. At a water hole, 4 nations would wash their trucks and themselves. Before battle, they asked for strength in many different ways. So many nations, so many creeds and faiths and ways of life. How were they welded into one fighting force? It began in North Africa when the combined chiefs of staff set up a joint command. The generals knew all about Napoleon, but they were determined to make it work. And as they fought their way across Tunisia and across Sicily, general got to know general. And then G.I. Joe began to know Tommy Atkins. On D-Day, you found yourself on a British landing craft, while many a Tommy found himself going American. That worked because no matter which flag it was, you got there. Protected not by your Navy or the other fellow's Navy, but by the whole Allied Mediterranean fleet. American ships, British ships, French ships. To say nothing of the Greeks, the Poles, the Yugoslavs, and the Dutch. The pilot who watched the skies above you might be a South African farmer, a boy from London, or from Paris, or New York, an Australian from the Pacific, or a Greek from Athens. Their wings were different, but they flew side by side. In the mountains, Italian Alpini were bringing rations to New Zealand infantry to be relieved the next day by an American Negro company, while Polish troops rolled forward over bridges built by American engineers of British materials and guarded by Italian sentries. At Casino, American 240s were supporting British infantry, while British naval guns were softening up the coast road for the Yanks. Over at French Corps, American tankmen fought under French commanders. It worked. And the master race surrendered to a dozen lesser breeds. And if you were wounded, you found that the nearest medic took charge. No one stopped to find out whether you came from Coventry or Kansas or Calcutta. Americans and British carried the same stretcher. You had lived together. You had endured together. And some of you had died together. But you had learned that if the man beside you fights well, you respect him whether he comes from Chicago or Manchester or Timbuktu. And if allies respect each other, no matter what Napoleon said, they can win. Respect each other. And at retreat, when they honor their comrades' flags, they know there's new glory for their own.